I will go ahead and call the joint cemetery meeting to order here. If you don't mind, we can have a roll call, please.
Okay, Mr. Britton.
Here.
Mr. Mack.
Yes.
Mr. Schaller.
Here.
Ms. Bourne.
Yes, here.
Mr. Coolman is not here. Ms. Materney.
Yeah.
Mr. McCarthy is not here. Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Van Hoosen.
Here.
And Mr. Weber.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, if you all don't mind, stand and say the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Right, I believe everyone has received a copy of the meeting minutes from last June. And if there is no comments or questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
So moved. I'll second it.
Roll call.
Okay, Mr. Britton.
Yes.
Mr. Mack.
Yes.
Mr. Schaller.
Yes.
Ms. Bourne.
Yes.
Ms. Materney.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Van Hoosen.
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Abstain.
So with that, we have the 2022 cemetery budget, and Mr. Warner, if you'd like to come up and add anything to the budget that has been passed as our chairman of the cemetery board, and if there's any questions from anyone on the committee. more than entertained.
Everybody hopefully received a copy of the budget before we approved it. And so at our last board meeting, we did approve the budget, what was presented to the township and the city. Any questions? Thank you.
None. I believe we have a motion to approve this.
Correct.
So I would entertain a motion to approve the 2022 cemetery budget.
Second.
And entertain a motion.
I thought you would, so moved. Move to approve.
All right, any discussion? Roll call.
I'll just say one thing. I would like to compliment the township trustees, city council, for all involved in this, but for the most part, the township, the Fort Meigs Cemetery people that are here tonight, and Mr. Freeze as well, and all we've been doing as well. So they did a really nice job. It looks, the grounds have been kept.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Roll call.
Okay, once again, Mr. Britton.
Yes.
Mr. Mack.
Yes.
Mr. Schaller.
Yes.
Ms. Bourne.
Yes.
Ms. Materney.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Van Hoosen.
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
With that, we do have board members coming up for appointments. And this is the township's appointment, so I'm going to see who in the township would like to keep Mr. Britton on, or if they would like to replace Mr. Britton at this time. Any motions to quickly add him back on or not?
I would like to reappoint Mr. Britton and thank him for his continued service.
I'll second it. Well, any motions to close the nominations?
Make a motion to close. Second.
Do a roll call then at this point,
Okay, roll call for the
if
appointment.
I'm doing this correct.
I don't know. Same order, Mr. Britton.
Abstain.
Mr. Mack.
Yes.
Mr. Schaller.
Yes.
Ms. Bourne.
Yes.
Ms. Materney.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Van Hoosen.
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, and you're glad to have you back on for another 3 years. Next on the agenda is the continuation of the .32 mills. This is the funds that are used to operate the cemetery. This has not changed in, probably 20-some years.
Well, there was a brief period where we took it off and we did not collect it for a couple of years, but then we quickly put it back on and collected it again. But we took a little vacation for a year or two.
No, this is in the budget for this next year, so if we can have a motion to just continue the collection of the .32 mills, please.
I'll make a motion to do so.
Second here.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Okay, same thing, Mr. Britton.
Yes.
Mr. Mack.
Yes.
Mr. Schaller.
Yes.
Ms. Bourne.
Yes.
Ms. Materney.
Yeah.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Van Hoosen.
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
All right. So we do have a couple board matters that we wanted to bring attention to from the cemetery. Unfortunately, the fencing has reared its ugly head again as we continue to have this discussion. Based off of all the options we have, it appears that the cost to do the replacement, even if we piecemeal, is going to take time and additional costs. As we've seen the construction costs, materials, I should say, continue to go up here over the last year. One of the suggestions that I would make at this point is to possibly consider actually removing a large portion of the fence and leaving that down. And to just essentially just move on without actually having the fence there. But I'd be open up to any discussions on that as well.
And we've had this discussion at our cemetery board meeting, and I'm in full agreement with Jonathan. Cemetery cannot afford to, I'm not even sure we can afford to replace a tenth of it. I mean, our budget is so tight, and I'm in full agreement. I think it's best bet is just to remove it.
And for those who are not aware as well, is the healthcare continue to be a pressing cost to the actual cemetery board. If you happen to look over the budget itself, I mean, this year it about doubled on us, and it's something that we have to monitor moving forward. So unfortunately, it's definitely the expenses are starting to pile up, and to replace that fence, even if we do it in a short period of time, 10 years, or not short, but in pieces over time, 10 years, that cost is going to continue to increase that deficit. So.
President Smith, I have one thing that I want to address on the fencing. I was looking through my notes from the past, and I noticed that there was mention about possibly green space, or bushes, and putting in the cemetery possibly as a green line. Could you possibly do that, get some things donated from a local person like North Branch or Black Diamond or something like that?
I believe that there is some requirements from our zoning code on that one, so we had a long conversation on that one too, if I recall. And of course, our zoning director isn't here on this one to really fill us in on that, but I know that because it's a State Route 25 corridor, the cemetery has 3 front yards. It's not as easy as we thought it was going to be. And I believe as well the cemetery staff would have a large time of the upkeep of trying to keep those bushes trimmed.
Do you think possibly, though, that the cemetery might actually be part of the grandfather clause? Because it's been there, it's obviously been there so long, the fence has been there for so long. Really?
Again, we've had that conversation at length with Brody, who's come to a couple of our board meetings and had that conversation. And unfortunately, that the code is written, and I know we brought this up at the planning and zoning committee level here on council as well, is that once you remove it to replace, it falls out of the grandfather. The only thing that we could do at that point is replace 10% every year over the next 10 years. And the cost of that, just as you look at the budget, we have a projected deficit over the next several years. It's really hard to look at continue to do that over a 10-year period with all the other expenses that the cemetery has to incur. But I understand wanting to try to keep it there. I just don't know if it's going to be financially.
I'm just trying to think of ways to help out, financially, that's help the cemetery. And if they would donate it, I think that's not bad. I know that North Branch does a lot of work with the city. Also, Black Diamond in the past has, so maybe you can possibly talk with them about some greenery. That might look nice. I think it's already on the new part of the cemetery, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I'll look into that. I don't recall if there's bush fencing on the new part, but
Toward the very front. It's not, you see the public fence, but it's toward the, we got an area, for the ditch. Looks very nice.
I appreciate it. Any other thoughts on the fence, or if I could, I would appreciate a motion of support from the board if we were to just completely remove the fence at this time.
I'll make a motion if that becomes the option of the cemetery board, that the board of Township Trustees of the city allow us to do so.
Okay, a second on that.
I'll second it.
Any further discussions?
Yes,
On that
President Smith, I have one concern. I noticed walking by there the other day that there are several graves that are near the fences all the way around. Would that disturb them? That would be my concern.
If we're removing the fence, I don't know if that would disturb anything, but that'll be a conversation we can have with the cemetery to make certain that any changes doesn't disturb what's there. So with that, I will do a roll call.
Okay, Mr. Britton?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Schaller?
Yes.
Ms. Bourne?
Yes.
Ms. Materney?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes,
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Thank you.
thank you. The next item, and I'll have Linda come up because she can probably speak to this more than anything if you don't mind. She's a little more knowledgeable on this, but I'll try to explain this and she can fill in the gaps as I stumble through this part. But with the property that the cemetery had purchased previously, due to the loan that the township so graciously provided the cemetery, it required the property to be deeded into the city of Perrysburg's name until the loan was paid off. Now that the loan has been paid off, we are asking that we re-deed that property back into the Fort May Cemetery Board of Trustees to continue the expansion of the cemetery as time goes on. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, the original loan was actually with Fifth Third Bank, and then there was a loan later with the township, but any property that's purchased it's my understanding by Ohio Revised Code that it has to be vested in either the municipality or the largest organization, which is typically the municipality in a joint cemetery situation. So it got deeded to the city, and at this point, everything's been paid off since I think 2016 or 17, so it can be actually deeded to the cemetery. We pay any specials, all the bills come to us anyway. It's just a matter of getting the property back in our name, or in our name. It was never in our name, so.
We can understand the process. If that's okay, I would like to have a motion to begin that further process.
So moved. Whatever you said.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussions on that? Roll call.
Okay, Mr. Britton?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Schaller?
Yes.
Ms. Bourne?
Yes.
Ms. Materney?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Right. And with that, if there's any other business for the good of the board, this is now the time. Before we jump in that, I do want to again thank the staff and everything that they've done throughout this pandemic, especially with the scare that the cemetery staff had. And thank you to both the city and the township for all the work they've done to help the cemetery get through this pandemic. And both entities have been a tremendous help to the cemetery, so I just would like to thank both the city and the township for everything that you both have done to help the cemetery continue to move forward and to get through this time. So, if there is nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, meeting adjourned.